Hey, jag heter. My name is Susan, and hello, welcome to a book chat about Scandinavian Noir. This is one of my favorite subgenres, which comes under the umbrella of crime fiction, mysteries, thrillers, and suspense novels. So the first one we're going to talk about is Sunstorm, set in the country of Sweden by Asa Larsson. And I try to get that little, lilt in there, but even though I'm half Swedish, sometimes it doesn't quite work. So fika, I have my little props here. Fika, or little lunch as my grandmother would say, is a very important part of Swedish culture, both at home and in the business and the street world. And I think anyway, a beverage, and a little treat, goes perfectly with the book chat. Now, Swedish coffee is always drunk hot, black, and strong. The description is Swedish coffee is stronger than espresso, a little bit weaker than tar. I put a little cream in mine. As I said, I'm only half Swedish. So Sunstorm, the protagonist, is Rebecca Martinsson, a tax attorney who is living and working now in Stockholm. But her hometown is in the far north, even above the Arctic Circle. Kiruna is the town where she grew up, and she lived in a village with her grandmother, Korivara, just a little bit north of Kiruna. And they both are real towns. The mines bring all the income into the people there. So some of the characteristics of Scandinavian Noir: dark, of course, moody and atmospheric, and often a bit slower paced than you might be used to. And it is often, but not always, a police procedural, but not like an American police procedural. There's violence, of course, because after all, it is a murder mystery. But no high-speed car chases. Very rarely is there any gunplay at all. Asa Larsson gives us a very, at least I found the protagonist, Rebecca Martinsson, very engaging. And she creates an awesome sense of place. And as I said, a believable heroine who is smart, brave. She gets herself out of her own trouble. So we have a strong female lead, which is very, very nice. So Rebecca is called up to her hometown from Sanna Strandgard, who used to be her friend. In fact, Rebecca Martinsson used to be very close to both Sanna and Sanna's brother, Victor Strandgard, who now is the leader, charismatic leader of his church, the source of all our strength. But Victor has been found by his sister murdered in a gruesome fashion, mutilated, and laid out in a ritualistic fashion in the central aisle of his church. Now, Sanna is the primary suspect, but is she the killer? And why don't the three pastors of the source of all our strength, Victor's church, cooperate with the police? Why don't they like Sanna and Rebecca? Why are they so disapproving of her? What will Rebecca find out? Let me just read you the first line. Well, maybe I can do it by memory. When Victor Strandgard dies, it is not, in fact, for the first time. Isn't that intriguing? I like that very much. What does that mean? So Rebecca does dig deeper, but fear sets in when she finds an ugly warning note on her windshield. That is Sweden. Two from Iceland. Arnaldur Indridason is the author of this, Strange Shores, and it is the last book in a series. The first book is Jar series in this series. I probably said that wrong, but anyway, we'll go on. And Jar City is the first book, which introduces us to Erlander, the self-described depressive lead detective in the city of Reykjavik. And also his colleagues, Sigurdardottir and Elenborg. It took me a long time to practice these names, and I still don't know if I have them right, but it sounds okay to me. Very slow-paced, more slow-paced than Rebecca Martinsson's series. Very moody, and The reason I am reviewing Strange Shores is because it's a very powerful, profound, gripping, and moving story. Um, and I do suggest you read the first story and go on from there. There are 7 in this series, and he has 3, I believe, in his new series, because it develops the characters, mostly of Erlander. Why is he obsessed with stories of survival? Why does he carry such a burden of loss and grief? So in Strange Shores, he does travel on holiday back to the East Fjord district of Iceland, where he grew up with his family until everything went wrong. And the first mystery he encounters is a decades-old mystery. A woman named Matilda went missing in 1942. Her husband Jakob tells everyone that she walked over the pass to see her relatives. And it was a bright, sunny, fine morning when she started, but a blizzard came up suddenly, as it does in this part of the world. And she was lost. Her body was never found. And because of Erlander's extreme sense of justice, his curiosity, and his loss, he persists in discovering the solution to this mystery, and another crime comes up, and he finishes that as well. But along the way, he decides, or he thinks to himself, is it time to let sleeping dogs lie? Well, Erlander, being himself, cannot let sleeping dogs lie. You will enjoy this. It may shock you. It did me. It will stay with you forever. This is another Icelandic author, Yrsa Sigurdardottir. And just a little name, just a little word about the names. Now, it's a very small country. It's about the size of Kentucky, with about 400,000 people, population, most of them situated in Reykjavik, the capital city. So there's a lot of bare land. And Icelanders are very, they guard their language fiercely. And so most of them have patronymics rather than, as a second name, surnames. So daughter or son is added to the father's, usually, but sometimes it's a matronymic first name. And women never change their last names when they marry. And you'll have people living there, husband, wife, children, with 3 or 4 different names. So the phone book is organized by first names. It's a first name country, which is why we call them Erlander, Frida, and Huldar. So this is a story, the first in a series. She has 2 series as well, where Frida and Huldar come together to solve a heinous crime. Huldar is the lead detective on this case only because his superiors have all been caught in corrupt practices. So one of the characteristics of Scandinavian Noir is a critique of contemporary culture. And it could be corrupt practices, it could be housing or lack thereof, loneliness, abuse of children and women, land issues, things like that. So this one is abuse and corrupt police practices. So he's the lead detective. He doesn't want to be. And because he is not in the field, but stuck with his desk, behind his desk, the crimes are not solved as quickly as they might have been. Frida is a child psychologist and employed by the children's home. So little Margaret, only 7 years old, is the only one able to give any sort of testimony about her mother's horrific but creative murder. She does so finally with the help of a social worker, and the police understand her more or less, but not in enough time to prevent the second murder. And the only clue to these murders is kind of the method. They're not specifically the same, but they're similar, and a nonsense note left at the scene of the crimes with just numbers on it. So what does this mean? And how are they connected? The second victim is a retired school teacher of biology. The first victim is a very well-liked young mother and wife and employed at the tax office. You will find your stomach tied in knots, your heart racing, but frightening as this is, I think this is one of the top-notch examples of Scandinavian noir. So I hope this has tempted you to explore a little bit. Tack så mycket.